What makes a religion? Anybody? What does religion?
Anxiety.
No, what defines religion? What makes
deity and worship.
Okay, so deity and worship. So every deist is a religion.
Sure.
No, well, isn't it like rituals technically, like, or just like things practiced and like sense of community, something like that?
To understand where it comes from, you have to understand what makes it work.
Would the Constitution be a religion?
No,
This is something supernatural.
it doesn't. Well, yeah, that's part of it, but it doesn't have to do with it. You see, in the world, each one of those little dots makes up different religions. These are all the main ones. Okay, other groups. Now, I don't know if you guys know this, but in the world there are 3,000 different religions that exist today. These are broken down between the denominationals, groups that fracture from previous incarnations. It means that, like the Catholic Church fracturing into Pentecostals and the Mormons fracturing into their little subgroups, things like this. You know, everywhere from you have the tribal cultures with the witch doctors in Africa, you have shamans in Brazil. Up here you have the Longhouse religion. I don't know if you guys ever heard about that. It's really freaky stuff up in the 1900s, early 1900s. You have the snake handlers. Even had an episode on those people in X-Files. They believe that if you get bit by a snake and you survive, because in the Bible it says if you can be bit by a snake, live. Yeah. Because if you're faithful. So they take this and allow themselves to be bit by poisonous snakes.
Any sort of specific poisonous snake? Like, does it have to be indigenous to that region? Like, how far are they going with this?
I think it comes from just like a specific Bible verse about, unless I'm thinking of something different that just talks about like how you were able, like, the Lord will save you.
Drink poison.
There's so many
You
different
can,
variations
chase
of
out
snakes and
demons.
how
Chase
poisonous
out,
they
you can
are.
drink poison, chase out demons. Get bit by snakes.
So it doesn't matter what kind of snake?
Doesn't matter.
But then clarifying the Bible.
A friend of mine.
Because most of the areas, well, you have to consider what region it came from.
Oh, no.
Anyways,
A friend of mine's brother actually drank.
But what's the thing behind that other word when you said?
but this one?
The long,
They turn out okay.
the long bow.
Oh, the Longhouse religion?
Yeah.
Basically, there was a guy in the early 1900s, and they were a tribe of Indians up in New York. And they lived in these long houses. And one of the members of the tribe did a lot of great drugs. And he had these hallucinations. And basically in these hallucinations, prior to him doing this, a lot of missionaries visited them, okay? Trying to get them to convert, okay? We'll get to why.
So that was the seed.
Yeah, that would be the condition. The hallucinations triggered the condition. And he believed that they should all convert to Christianity. He was the head of the tribe. And because they lived in the long houses, as Indians, they were called the Longhouse religion. Alright, understanding your movement, regional and cultural context. That's very important to breaking down a religion. You have to understand what influenced it from the region it came from. Okay? We can akin this to cars, okay, vehicles. Alright? Every religion being like a specific type of vehicle, like Toyota, for example. You have Toyota and the original belief system. And then it fractures down to all the different denominations of different Toyotas. Okay? And that's the one religion of that type, let's say Christianity. Or Judaism. Then you have the economy religion. Okay, cars, a religion that is basically modest, small little church. People hold their kind of strict beliefs. Do you know what I'm talking about? The small little churches?
There's a guy in the LA paper when those Toyotas came out.
Yeah.
And he said that term's an expression of, that term's smog to smug.
Yeah.
Something to that
You know,
nature.
you have muscle car religions.
Those are the best ones.
Well, yeah, well, that's the point. That's exactly the point. They're the religions that attract the most people. Okay, Islam, Christianity, Mormonism, which
It's only for Tom.
I'm not sure if they've changed it, but the last time I knew, Mormonism was the only thing academics still called a cult, not a mainstream religion. You have the mobile religions that go everywhere. They spread across the globe unhindered, using their framework as a base of operations. Then you have the freaky show religions. It's all glamour, show, everything. Okay? Like vehicles, you also have the absolutely weird and strange religions.
What is that?
I have no idea.
Batmobile.
I thought it was a Batmobile at first, but I really don't know what it is.
Some
So,
kind of concept
It
car.
also kind of.
each one of these, barring all the ones in the Toyota, they're all from different brands. To remove the regional cultural context, we have to find what every single one requires to exist. And not necessarily some cars made of plastic. Not as easy as you think.
Motor.
Chair.
Motor,
Seats.
wheels,
Well,
chairs.
They don't require seats.
They
No, they do not require seats, that's right. Many of them have benches. The Model T had bench, not a seat.
Mobility.
But it's still like something you sit on.
Mobility.
That's
Oh,
what
cars
I
can be up on blocks and
Steering,
No, you could just go in a straight line.
no, you would have to have the ability to steer at some point. There was one I remember that had those levers that you would pull.
Yeah.
Tanks use levers to steer.
Or the T-shaft.
Do tanks count as cars? Because they are street legal.
They would count as a vehicle.
Okay.
Think of them as a militant religion.
Ah, okay.
But the point being is that once you break down the fundamentals, the requirements for each religion, it's easier to find out what forms them. Okay? Which is basically what I went through the process of. And after going through and removing all the frameworks, and I went through a lot of them, found out that there was a few. Okay, the fundamentals of all major religions in the world, and most minor ones, very few exceptions. You have an adversary, instigator, deity. Okay, this is something that either is you worship, or you fear, or you consider. Like in Buddhism, the instigator is your chance at enlightenment.
You're what?
Your enlightenment. That is the instigator. That's the reason why you worship. Okay. Now, afterlife. It's a fundamental concept that exists and occurs everywhere. After death, to those who died. What happens? Okay, people see, in ancient times, people see life literally drained from the body. Has anyone ever seen a dead body?
Freaked me out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen it, the scene of the death. That would be a lot different.
But you've seen a corpse.
Yeah.
Well, there's a fundamental difference between a body that's alive and a body that's dead. The color's drained out because there's no oxygen running through the blood. It literally looks like something's been removed. Okay. Most of these ancient cultures had no idea. They did not have biology, or any other understanding that would help them figure out what happened when someone died. Okay, so they didn't know what the discoloration was. They didn't know what was going on, how the person died. They didn't have any forensics or anything like that. Okay, central role, reason for existence. This is very important. This is found in every single one I've researched. There's a lot of them. You have to have a reason to be here. Okay, every culture, everything, they say, oh, well, this is why we're here. And most of human existence, people always say, well, I'm trying to figure out why. Do I have a reason for being? A lot of the thing that puts people off of atheism is they don't feel that there's a reason for existence other than just survival. Which is kind of wrong. Explanation of localized observed events. Does anyone have any idea what ancient Greeks thought a lightning bolt was?
Fire.
Yes.
It's like Zeus throwing down.
Bingo. Yes. Ancient Greeks.
Say that again?
Ancient Greeks thought lightning bolts were.
Oh,
Zeus like smiting people on Earth.
Yes.
okay.
I thought they thought it was like literally
Zeus
throwing fire at them.
flinging lightning bolts. Well, fire. That's how they described it. Would be fire. But the point being is that it was lightning bolts. They thought Zeus was flinging.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a god.
Right.
Because they didn't understand the concept of light, electrons, or the connectivity between the two areas. So they needed some reason for why it was occurring. Okay, it's like a psychological placebo mechanism. Okay, specific stressor release mechanism. Like, say you have prayer would help out, is a generalized release mechanism. Okay, that would be the best example. When you see religious people, they pray. They say, well, I'm going to pray for you. It relinquishes their burden of feeling like they have to do anything. Get it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What do you think a big release mechanism would be?
Meditate.
Something not generalized.
Meditate.
Meditating would be generalized,
Oh.
like prayer. Still, a specific stress release mechanism would be something like the solstice.
The what?
Solstice celebrations. Or specific rituals that have some kind of mental cleansing effect on the person. Like in Catholic religion, they have the rosary beads, and they say, oh, say 3 Hail Marys, and blah, 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 and you're clean.
Mantras.
I never understood that.
Some religions use
Well,
mantras.
it's a psychological placebo mechanism. They feel bad about something they've done wrong. They're stressed out
That's
about it.
because they should feel bad. They
Yeah.
did something wrong.
Yeah.
You can't just cleanse yourself just by saying a few words. You
Well,
have to
yeah, I
value
understand
yourself
that.
as
You
a
have to have the
person.
beads too.
They have, culturally speaking, if you had a bunch of people who felt so guilty that they couldn't perform or act, if you're in a small group that requires every member to survive, you can't survive. If you have 3 or 4 people feeling guilty because they stole a few berries extra from the pile. So they needed something that said, okay, you did this wrong, but you can forgive yourself and move on. You understand? So that's why.
I understand it, I just don't I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's not screwy. If religion wasn't screwy, there wouldn't be atheists.
He's not preaching. He's just, that's the reason.
Moral and ethical code. Okay. What makes morality? Anybody?
Well, in this world, it's respecting property rights.
But what makes morality in a culture?
It's like
Well-
rules that allow society to function, I
Yeah.
think.
Is
What
there
makes-
any universal moralities?
Well,
Because this is something I hear theists say all the time. Is there
I
a
think
universal morality?
if you get people in small groups, whether it's on the front line or it's in army tanks or
Losing Clark.
if you get people in small groups, they normally will talk about it in such a way that they put the needs of the people around them above their own.
Yeah, empathy.
That's
Well,
right.
empathy is an emotion, it's not a morality.